So over the past while, there have been a lot of ex-Republicans or even current Republicans who've been coming out against the orange shit-flinging Gibbon. And now another one of the ex-administration officials, decorated Lieutenant General Henry McMaster, who was one of the top national security advisors in the Trump administration, has come out with a book. Another one of these books that come out just a lot too late. So he's been making the rounds and doing interviews with CNN and so on about his book coming out called At War with Ourselves. And it covers his 13-month stint as a national security advisor, where he saw himself as one of those who was the guardrails, trying to make sure things went somewhat well. He talks about how Trump was manipulated by both aides at home and by dictators abroad. No news there. And despite his best efforts to help the president, he said the supposed master of the art of the deal was treated like a chump by the world's top authoritarians. Like when he met with Xi, he went off script, and Xi got him to agree with him that military exercises in South Korea were provocative, a waste of money, and suggested that China might have a legitimate claim to the Senkaku Islands, Japan's Senkaku Islands. McMaster passed a note to General Kelly saying that she just ate our lunch. Yeah, so the same lunatic who he could never figure out what hold Putin had on Trump, but in 2018 he found him in the Oval Office scrawling a cheerful note across a New York Post article reporting that Putin had denigrated America, the American political system, but called Trump a good listener. Like a child with his Christmas wish list, he asked McMaster to send it to the Kremlin, and it was really bad timing because right at that time in 2018 evidence was coming to light about the assassination attempt on British soil of Sergei and Yulia Skripal, and Trump was furious when McMaster didn't send the note telling him that would only reinforce the narrative that you're somehow in Kremlin's pocket. And he also goes back to trace the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal to the atmosphere of inconsistency promulgated by Trump. At home, destructive bickering among the president's deputies who were hurling accusations of disloyalty around at each other, showing how the former president allowed his own prejudices and the petty rivalries within his administration to undermine his policy goals in a vortex of vitriol. And when he would make insane comments like, why don't we just bomb the drugs in Mexico, or why don't we take out the whole North Korean army during one of their parades, McMaster, in an apparent act of self-soothing, suggests that Trump only meant to shock his advisors, but never seems to ask himself to what end. I'm quoting from the New York Times here. Apparently, the assault on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 seems to have marked a decisive break from Trump. As in his previous book, he avoided direct criticism, but now writes that in the aftermath of his 2020 defeat, Trump's ego and love of self drove him to abandon his oath to support and defend the Constitution, a president's highest obligation. McMaster adds, the attack on the U.S. Capitol stained our image, and it will take a long-term effort to restore what Donald Trump, his enablers, and those they encouraged took from us that day. The message of the book, according to the New York Times, appears to be that Trump is unsuited for another term, although McMaster never explicitly goes as far as to say so. He says he wouldn't serve in a Trump administration again. And if Trump was re-elected, of course I would wish him the best and wish him to succeed, and I want him to succeed. Reminds me of Trump telling Ghislaine Maxwell he wishes her all the best in prison. Oh. And if our next president is Kamala Harris, I wish her the best, wish her to succeed, he said on Morning Edition. But I think my opportunity to serve in the Trump administration is used up. He questions whether the 78-year-old Trump can still perform well the sometimes grueling job of president. He notes that the 13-day trip to Asia tired him and stretched his patience. And that was 7 years ago. But on the final page, he talks about how he hopes young people will take the lesson that there are tremendous rewards associated with serving any administration. Well, take that for what you will. And fuck Trump.